I hooked his finger and played the emotional card. Your brother is different from you. He has Guang. If we insist on staying here every year, we are torturing each other. It's better to let her go. Your brother can also follow. Isn't it good for Guang to rebuild the past? Shen Huaizhou was unmoved. I don't care about other people's business. Seeing that he was not getting enough fuel, I stepped on him angrily and said, get off the road. After saying that, I turned around and left. By the way, think about any new methods. But before he took 2 steps, Shen Huaizhou grabbed him back and said, I can't afford it. I was nervous during this period, and there was a cold wind when I escaped. That night, I developed a high fever. Shen Huaizhou put his hand on my forehead and sat up instantly. Shiyu? I closed my eyes tightly and said nonsense, Shen Huaizhou. Shen Huaizhou responded. I said again, you can let Nian go. Shen Huaizhou said nothing. Just when I was feeling anxious, thinking that I had exposed my secret, I heard him mutter, he has no conscience. He thinks about her all day long. I didn't have time to think about the meaning of these words, so I repeated them again. But after a long time, no sound was heard from Shen Huaizhou. I couldn't help but lift my eyelids and take a peek. As a result, her eyes met his. I quickly closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. Shen Huaizhou said angrily, stop pretending, I know you are awake. I gripped the quilt tightly, so can you. Shen Huaizhou lowered his eyes. I can only give you her ID, but I can't guarantee what happens next. I was overjoyed and nodded repeatedly, okay. Just have documents. Other matters should not be too difficult for Shen Huaizhou. Shen Huaizhou opened the door and went out. Not long after, he came in with Wen Nian's ID. I quickly reached out to pick it up. Thank you, you are so kind. Shen Huaizhou sneered coldly, I'm not good. What he just muttered suddenly came to my mind. Turning her eyes, she hid the ID under the pillow and put her arms around his waist. Hello, you're the best. Shen Huaizhou rubbed my head and said, if you lie to me again this time, you will not be able to get out of bed for half a year. I pressed my face against his abdominal muscles, stretched out my hand, and swore, I won't lie to you this time. Not necessarily next time. Under Shen Huaizhou's supervision, I had to get rid of my fever before I could go to Wen Yan's room. Elder Wen learned his lesson, and this time he only brought cards and cash. She took the certificate from my hand and said, aren't you coming with me? I shook my head, if we go together, you won't be able to leave at all. Furthermore, Shen Huaizhou is not bad to me. Rather than leaving together, it would be better for Wen Yan to leave first. Seeing Wen Yan's red eyes, I reached out and hugged her. Don't worry, I'll contact you when you settle down. Maybe I'll find you after a while. Wen Yan smiled. I said again, Shin Shoubai won't go home tonight, so you should leave some more cover. Wen Yan nodded. With Shen Huaizhou's deliberate permission, she left easily. In order not to arouse Shin Shoubai's suspicion, she would recommend videos from time to time. At night, after receiving the news that Wen Yan had successfully landed, I felt relieved. Shen Huaizhou pestered me for a thank you gift. When the love reached its peak, he looked down at me and said, Shiyu, please marry me. My mind came back to me instantly, and I stammered, don't talk nonsense. He was acting on a whim. What if I took him seriously? Besides, Wen Yan and Shin Shoubai were done with each other. If I marry Shen Huaizhou, I won't even have anyone to play cricket with in the future. This is totally different from our original plan. When I was hesitating, Shen Huaizhou frowned slightly. You don't want to? I didn't know what to say. How about you wait until you wake up and think about it carefully? You can't say such nonsense. The more I spoke, the softer my voice became. Besides, you don't like me that much. If we get divorced in the future, I have a very clear idea of my position. It's just the Canary sent by the Wen family to pay off debts. Besides, wealthy families like theirs are very particular about being well-matched. In case Shen Huaizhou's mother disagrees, Wen Yan is not here. Am I alone and helpless? Shen Huaizhou's face darkened. I'm proposing to you here, and you want to divorce me? Is this considered a precautionary measure? But when I caught Shen Huaizhou's gaze, I didn't dare to say anything disappointing. He quickly pulled up the quilt and said, please wait until I dream tonight and think about it. Shen Huaizhou didn't embarrass me, and lay down next to me. Just when I was about to fall asleep, I suddenly felt him poke my shoulder. What do you mean I don't like you that much? According to the routine, he will probably use sugar-coated bullets to coax me next. So I closed my eyes tightly and pretended to be asleep. Just don't answer his words directly. Shen Huaizhou didn't ask any more questions. Early the next morning, I waited for Shen Huaizhou to go out before I dared to open my eyes. The first thing to do is to take out the phone and send a message to Wen Yan. Frowny face, how's it going? Is it going well? Wen Yan replied instantly, it went well, everything has been settled. Where are you? I quickly told her about Shen Huaizhou's proposal to me in bed last night. After telling what happened, I asked her, what should we do now? The other party is typing. Was displayed on the screen for a long time. It took a long time before Wen Yan replied to me, what do you think? In fact, I think Shen Huaizhou is quite good, 100 times better than his younger brother, that bastard. I sighed and replied to her, I also think he is good, but we were sent to the Shen family to pay off debts. The Canary becoming a regular employee is usually found in novels. And I'm not sure whether Shen Huaizhou was serious last night. Wen Yan returned even slower this time. Just when I couldn't help but want to take a photo, she replied, how about you give it a try? Anyway, I think he does like you a little bit. After posting this, there was no news from Wen Yan again. I asked again, how to try? Divorce if you find out he doesn't like me? Isn't this not good? Wen Yan disappeared again. I was really restless, so after waiting for an hour, I made a video call to her. Although he was connected within seconds, his face could not be seen at all. All you could hear was her scolding voice, Shen Shoubai, you bastard. Are you a dog? I hung up immediately. Was she caught again so soon? And in just these few seconds, I seemed to have come to an important conclusion. She and Shen Shoubai seemed to be reconciling. I silently drew a circle and cursed them. If I had known it would be so soon, would I still have to sacrifice myself? My waist still hurts now. Wen Yan couldn't give him any ideas, so I lay on the bed and thought. As a result, just when he was about to give it a try, Shen Huaizhou opened the door and walked in. He raised his chin. I don't quite understand what the word canary means. Can you explain it to me? I was confused. What canary? After being stunned for 2 seconds, I reacted belatedly, how did you know? Shen Huaizhou was speechless, you used my computer to log into WeChat yesterday, and forgot to log out. How do you think I knew? I swallowed the words that came to my lips and smiled at him awkwardly, I really forgot. Shen Huaizhou looked at me, don't change the topic, first explain what a canary is, why are you a canary? With Wen Yan's half idea in mind, I simply told the truth. The Wen family sent us to pay off the debt, and you never said you wanted to marry me. What is it if it's not a canary? Shen Huaizhou frowned, repay the debt? See, I just said that staying up late every day will make your brain dull. I patiently explained to him, the Wen family is bankrupt and we can't pay back the money we owe you, so Wen Yan and I were sent here to pay off the debt. It's probably not that I misunderstood. Because since we came to the Shen family, no one has chased us to collect debts. Shen Huaizhou finally figured out his thinking. First of all, buying and selling people is illegal. Secondly, when did I say you were here to pay off a debt? I pointed at each other and said, you didn't say no. Shen Huaizhou laughed angrily at me again, according to what you said, there are so many people who owe me money. How many canaries do I have to raise? It makes some sense. I looked up at him, then I kind of don't know where to start. Since it wasn't to pay off debts, why were Wen Yan and I sent here? Shen Huaizhou had already spontaneously started to explain, I was talking about marrying you. The betrothal gift had already been sent and your parents ran away. I saw that you were in a bad mood and thought about bringing it up later, but you actually thought I had taken it. Are you a canary? I froze for a moment and started to feel cold all over. I'm pretty sure. At that time, the Wen family's parents said nothing about Shen Huaizhou's intention to marry me. They first cried that their family was bankrupt and owed a lot of money, and asked Wen Yan and I to save our family. Seeing that we didn't agree, he forcefully sent us to the Shen family. The so-called betrothal gift, I have never seen even a dime. Even though I have already understood their ruthlessness, I still feel my heart hurts like a needle pricking me at this moment. You didn't tell me because Shen Huaizhou married me. Do they need a betrothal gift? If he is sent to be a canary, he will naturally not have to pay a dime. Seeing that my eye circles were starting to turn red, the smile on Shen Huaizhou's face disappeared immediately. He hurriedly pulled out a few tissues. I didn't open my mouth. I should have told you earlier. Actually, I felt something was wrong at first. You didn't treat me like a fiancé at all, but more like a boss. But I thought it was. He paused. I asked, what do you think it is? Shen Huaizhou's ears were a little red, and his voice was so soft that it was almost inaudible. I thought it was your little fun. My face suddenly turned red. Are you sick? Seeing that I had held back my tears, Shen Huaizhou breathed a sigh of relief. I'm very fine. I picked at the sheets and asked again, we didn't know each other before, why do you want to marry me? Wen Yan and I were locked at home and studied almost from childhood to adulthood. Naturally, there is no possibility of childhood sweethearts reuniting after many years. When we grew up, we were busy battling wits with the Wen parents to prevent them from selling us. There is even less opportunity to meet someone of Shen Huaizhou's status. Shen Huaizhou's ears were still red. Just, when you celebrated your birthday, I was also in that hotel. I took a look at you from a distance and fell in love with you. So careless, so pure love. After he finished explaining himself, he began to cross-examine me. Then you don't want to marry me, is it because you don't like me, or because I scare you? I answered honestly, I was scared. Shen Huaizhou is the best person to me besides Wen Yan. It would be a lie to say that you are not moved. If you want to escape, you just misunderstood your identity. Afraid of not being able to explain clearly and causing misunderstandings, I said, and this time I ran away. It speaks volumes that I chose to stay. Shen Huaizhou curled his lips. If you don't understand, please speak clearly. I expressed my heart to him. I love you. Shen Huaizhou's breath stopped. He pressed the back of my head and kissed me. When he was kissed and laid on the bed, I heard him say, Wen Shuyu, I love you. Late at night, Shen Huaizhou still kissed the corners of my lips from time to time. I suddenly became energetic. Ask him, what's going on with your brother every year? Isn't it by Yuiguang? Wen Yan is a person who can't get rid of the sand in his eyes. If this was true, I wouldn't have seen that scene when I played the video yesterday. Is there any misunderstanding? Shen Huaizhou thought for a while, not counting Bai Yuiguang. When Xiao Bai and that man were about to get married, she suddenly disappeared from the world and just came back recently. I think he really hates that girl. I was a little restless, from love to hate? What should I do every year? Then again, what if Wen Yan suddenly falls in love? Thinking of this, I quickly picked up my phone and sent a message to Wen Yan. You should ask everything clearly before making peace. Don't fall in love. If you come back without asking, I won't help you if you want to run away next time. Wen Yan did not return. Shen Huaizhou took away my mobile phone. Stop posting, it's time to go to bed. I was anxious. No, I had to ask clearly. Shen Huaizhou locked the screen of his phone and turned to look at me. Do you want to bet with me? I frowned. What are you betting on? The corner of Shen Huaizhou's mouth rose. I bet this is a play between them, and they will definitely be full of affection when they come back. I curled my lips. I don't believe it. Wen Yan is not so unconscious. What Shen Huaizhou wants is my words. He nodded. Okay, if I win, 7 times a night. If you win, I'll let you rest for 3 days. I threw a pillow at him. Go. When I woke up the next afternoon, I saw a transfer record on my phone. 10 million. From Shin Xiaobai. There was also a note at the end. Sister-in-law, please, stop talking. Besides, I really can't get you back. I will explain everything you are concerned about clearly. I am not a scumbag, really. I sent a screenshot to Shen Huaizhou. He also sent me a screenshot instantly. It's the chat record with Shin Xiaobai. Shin Xiaobai, brother, can you help me kneel down and beg my sister-in-law to stop talking about Bai Yuiguang? I finally found him. Shin Huaizhou, if you don't keep yourself clean, who should you blame? Shin Xiaobai, I can't explain it to you clearly. Anyway, please help me beg my sister-in-law. One sentence from her is more effective than 10,000 words from me. Wen Yan listens to her the most. Shin Huaizhou, give me money. Shin Xiaobai? Shin Xiaobai, are you my brother, asking you to do a little favor and asking me for hush money? Shin Huaizhou, forget it, I'm sleeping with my wife, please step aside. Shin Xiaobai, turn around. I laughed so hard I cried. After finally laughing enough, I replied to Shin Huaizhou, honey, you are so kind, I love you. 2 minutes later, Shin Huaizhou opened the door. I was a little surprised. You're not at work? Shin Huaizhou had a smile in his eyes. I didn't go. They came back today and begged us to pick them up. I understand instantly. It seems that Wen Yan said that she would not come back until I picked her up. Then Shen Huaizhou took the opportunity to hit his brother again. I stretched out my hand towards Shen Huaizhou. Then let's pick him up quickly and pull me up. Shen Huaizhou held me in his arms. After kissing for a long time, he leisurely took me out to pick up Shen Shoubai and Wen Yan. Shen Shoubai and Wen Yan have obviously resolved their misunderstanding. From a distance, I could see pink bubbles popping up around them. I waved from afar. Wen Yan instantly dropped Shen Shoubai and ran towards me. The brothers walked behind us, deliberately lowering his voice. I suggest you stay closer, otherwise you won't be able to clarify it immediately later. Shen Huaizhou snorted lightly, but his pace honestly accelerated. Wen Yan and I were laughing and discussing in a low voice. I asked her, "Are you sure Bai Yuiguang is in the past tense?" Wen Yan nodded. It can't be counted as past tense. What Shen Shoubai said about Bai Yuiguang was spread by himself. I was surprised. Why? Wen Yan glanced at the sneaky brothers with his peripheral vision and deliberately raised his voice. It's a mistake. After someone regretted their marriage, he felt it was shameful to spread the word, so he made up a version of a business marriage. Not far away, Shen Huaizhou's disgusted voice came. Are you so stupid? Shen Shoubai regretted. I wish I had known that there would be Wen Yan, so I would have made it up. He didn't even dare to think about it. If you don't catch up quickly enough, you will have to compile a new version immediately. Wen Yan lowered his voice. Seriously, what do you think of Shen Shoubai? Behind him, Shen Shoubai became visibly nervous. I thought about it and said, it's a bit weird, but if you want to say that, it's not impossible. He breathed a sigh of relief. Wen Yan asked again, then you and Shen Huaizhou? I was silent for a long time. He did the love at first sight and crush after sight thing. Fortunately, he has a long mouth, otherwise I would definitely go with you. Shen Shoubai seemed to be impressed by the connotation and lowered his head silently. Shen Huaizhou puffed up his chest proudly. As he spoke, Wen Yan held my arm tightly and said with a smile, "It's good now, we can cricket each other behind each other's back every day again." The two brothers looked at each other, stepped forward, and pulled Wen Yan and me away. The first thing they did when they got home was get an agreement. The general content is that Shen Shoubai will give me a sum of money every month, and Shen Huaizhou will give it to Wen Yan. Counts as a seal. Let us not casually say words that are not conducive to the harmonious relationship between husband and wife. Especially what is advising to break up, to leave, to run away from home. Wen Yan and I looked at each other and pretended to be embarrassed. Oh, we are all one family, there is no need to sign these, right? Shen Shoubai pushed the paper in front of me. Sign it, sister-in-law. I really can't sleep if you don't sign it. Wen Yan looked at Shen Huaizhou. Brother, do you want me to sign too? Shen Huaizhou's expression did not change. It doesn't matter whether you sign or not. I think my relationship with Shiyu is quite stable. As he said that, he looked at me. Really? Me, well. Hearing my protracted voice, he looked at Wen Yan decisively and said, sign it. Wen Yan looked at me again. Are you going to sign or not? Without thinking, I said, if you sign, I'll sign. After signing the agreement, Shen Huaizhou wanted to hug me back to the room. Wen Yan shouted from behind, I still have something to say to Shiyu. Shen Huaizhou looked over. Shen Shoubai stood up immediately. Let's go, Mian Mian. I'm really tired after flying for so long. Let's go back and sleep. I poked Shen Huaizhou's waist and joked, isn't it quite stable? Why do you still need to sign? Shen Huaizhou glanced at me and said sourly, I feel stable, but I can't hold it in your heart. She is more important than me. I turned around and hugged him. Don't be jealous. Shen Huaizhou was still stubborn. I'm not jealous. I curled my lips. She is more important than me, aren't you jealous? Look, I am determined to tease him. Shen Huaizhou suddenly chuckled. Remind you, I won the bet last night. I stiffened. He wanted to run away. My stomach hurts, I'm going to bed first. Shen Huaizhou took me back and said, it's okay. After paying off the bet, you can sleep slowly. I want to cry but have no tears. After paying off the bet, I secretly made up my mind. I will never bet again in my life.